Founded by George C. Hanford in 1846, Hanford Pharmaceuticals is the only U.S.-based independent contract antibiotic finisher. The history of the Hanford Company is actually a history of the family which founded the company and has managed it through 7 generations. 20 years after the close of the Revolutionary War, Seth and Betsy Hanford were frequent hosts to an itinerant English physician. He offered the Hanfords a recipe for a medicine which he regularly dispensed. In those days, there were no widely distributed remedies or nostrums. Medication was directly prepared by physicians or city apothecaries for individual patients. But the traveling doctor had observed that one external antiseptic he had tried seemed to consistently reduce the risk of infection, and infection in the 1800s often meant amputation or death. He called this important treatment balsam of myrrh. Soon, Seth Hanford was busy compounding his pungent natural antiseptic at his farm, then traveling to nearby communities to sell the cork-sealed bottles. His son, George C. Hanford, began to help the family enterprise. GC, as he was called, realized that making the product and then going on the road to sell it was a self-limiting way of doing business. GC decided to manufacture large quantities of product and hired drummers, or traveling salesmen. By 1846, Hanford Pharmaceuticals incorporated and moved its headquarters to what would become the commercial district in Syracuse, New York. Balsam of myrrh was among America's first widely distributed patent medicines, an enterprise which would ultimately bring profound changes to society by launching a new form of business communication: advertising. Until then, apart from signs on buildings and formal announcements in weekly newspapers, selling was a face-to-face, personal endeavor. Then, G.C. Hanford and a handful of other early elixir marketers transformed the process into broadcast print. Hanford's innovative business practices, coupled with his son's sales expertise, founded what would become an American legacy. George A. Hanford, a Princeton-educated chemistry professor at Syracuse University, later managed the company under his father and brought Hanford Pharmaceuticals into the turn of the 20th century. Hanford's balsam of myrrh, along with newly developed products such as the None Such baking powder, cake colorings, and vanilla extract, were marketed and distributed widely across the United States. In the 1940s, penicillin, a recently discovered antibiotic, was being produced in large quantities. Hanford Pharmaceuticals, under the leadership of George W. Hanford, would innovate this newly created market through the development of a penicillin-based treatment for mastitis. George W. Hanford's mastitis syringe proved to be a truly inspiring product, and by the 1960s, Hanford Pharmaceuticals began to function as a CMO for companies around the globe. Today, mastitis syringes continue their production at Hanford's Syracuse penicillin manufacturing plant, just as they did decades ago, aiding in the stability of dairy markets from around the globe. Hanford Pharmaceuticals has the expertise to assist customers in the development and regulatory approval of their pharmaceutical products. Hanford maintains a microbiology laboratory to conduct testing on excipients and APIs. In addition to this analytical testing role, the microbiology laboratory also conducts the microbiological environmental monitoring required to support Hanford's aseptic processing lines. The company was among the first to implement isolator technology for critical sterility testing, which is performed on both incoming sterile APIs and finished product. To ensure maximum reliability in sterility testing, Hanford installed its first isolators in 1993. In 2006, the company updated to a newer generation of isolator equipment. Hanford has 2 Steris VHP1000 vapor phase hydrogen peroxide decontamination systems to ensure that the isolators are decontaminated to current FDA and USP requirements. We are fully equipped to handle pilot production, analytical method development, and the stability testing required throughout a product's shelf life. Our chemistry laboratories are fully equipped with gas and high-performance liquid chromatography systems, as well as particle size determination systems. Our senior-level scientists and technologists have worked in a strict aseptic environment for decades over and have the experience necessary to ensure a product's success. In the 1980s, under the leadership of George R. Hanford, Hanford Pharmaceuticals began manufacturing sterile penicillin injectables for both small-volume human and large-volume veterinary products. Hanford is committed to increasing diversification of our product and service offerings, and we understand that our 30 years of experience in aseptic processing can be broadly utilized. Validation at Hanford is a multidisciplinary activity, particularly in areas such as process simulation testing of aseptically filled products and packaging, where employees' performance is a critical component in process control and therefore product quality. It is generally recognized that the aseptic production of sterile products is the single most difficult production undertaking in the pharmaceutical industry. The regulatory requirements for demonstrating that an aseptic process is in a validated state of control are both rigorous and specific. The company is required to comply with the same regulatory guidelines and to achieve the same demonstrated levels of performance as Fortune 100 multinational pharmaceutical companies. For a relatively small company such as Hanford to fully comply with current industry best practices requires a process control discipline capable of operating at a very high level of efficiency. Our company's dedication to quality and ability to efficiently deliver superior products and services has been proven since our inception. Hanford's experience includes liquid and powder filling, as well as tableting and capsuling. The company is also experienced in handling suspensions and other complex formulations. Hanford Pharmaceuticals is currently looking to increase business in our core competency of beta-lactam antibiotic manufacturing, but is also diversifying itself outside of our traditional sterile antibiotic capabilities. In order to capitalize on our experience, we have acquired an 84,000 square foot facility and are currently developing the space for manufacturing, warehousing, and laboratory support services of non-beta-lactam products. Founded in 1846 and continuing today into the 21st century, the Hanford legacy lives on, inspiring innovation and pharmaceutical development throughout the globe.